We are now live on this beautiful Sunday afternoon in Australia. So as you know, most of my, well, maybe you don't know, most of my following on my page and the people that I work with are women. And one of the core pillars that I teach people in my 12-month mastermind is about relationships. And so I constantly get DMs and questions about men and why we act in certain ways, who we are, etc., etc. And what I notice is a lot of women, so the women that I work with are generally professional women, so they're great at their career, they're entrepreneurial, um, they're really successful in those areas of their life, but their relationships seem to suck or break down really quickly, or they just can't find the right man for them to understand them and work with them and co-create. So what I'm seeing is there's a lot of women that really, not that they've been duped, but kind of realize that they've hit that success in their career, but they're missing something internally that their heart really desires, and that's a family and a relationship. And so then to pivot into I guess getting ready for motherhood, getting ready for a relationship. There's a lot of changes that need to happen for the woman, and then to try to attract that man that they want. And so I thought I'd chat and see. It's a Sunday arvo, so I'm not sure anyone will come on, but I thought I'd chat about this. So what I notice is and I think a lot of you already notice this, we live in a very masculine world, and so everything's very much go 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 do. There's not a lot of be in the Western society. There's a lot of do, not a lot of be. And so like if you look at the yin and the yang is do and the yin is be. So most women are heavily in masculine, and it's just a societal program, and it's not something that they can change overnight because it's in their nervous system. So what happens is when we get awareness of new ideas or insights into who we are, so we get, I like to call them little soul kicks, like our soul kind of gives us a kick up the butt and goes, hey, this is actually the direction you really want to go, but you're on this path. And so sometimes the soul gives us a kick. And so, as I said, for many of the people that work with me, the women that work with me, they're realizing that they actually want to shift out of the professional space, but they still love the professional space because they get recognition, and they are hardworking, and they like to, I guess, they have that drive of, I don't know whether the word success, but they have a drive of creating and making change in the world is probably the better thing. And so they have this drive, but their internal kick, their soul kick, is like, but you also want to be a mother. And so there's this kind of transition to get the nervous system from this to being ready for motherhood, and obviously finding the right relationship and partner, etc., etc. So as I said, if anyone has any questions, please put them on. Ask me about men. Let me know what we are strange beings, us men. But I also think that what's happening right now, there's a very, very interesting, I guess, perspective that a lot of men are under attack. So being a man, it's not that we're worried about safety, but it's like, I guess if it was on the polar opposite, being a man is not safe in the Western society anymore. If you're a man and you generally have strong values and opinions, and they're more conservative than progressive, then you're generally under attack every single day. And it takes a very strong core and a very strong knowing of who you are as a man to not sway into what we think we need to do to get ladies. And so this is what you'll see. There's a lot of men that are doing what they think they need to do to get women's attention, love, in the bedroom, whatever you want to call it. But it's not being true to who they are. So what's happening is it's like the masculine energy is folding so that they can you know, get close to the woman, and then what happens is what the woman actually wants is the masculine energy, but it's not there, not to its true potential. And so we kind of have this little game happening where a lot of men don't know how to act, and a lot of women are looking for the men, but they can't find them because society's kind of told them to stop being men. So it's a really kind of weird game that's happening right now. As I said, most of my clientele are women, so I'd love to see some of the questions that you guys have, girls, ladies, you have, because it is very interesting and it is very confusing. So yeah, if you've got questions, please comment. Please put where you're from. Yeah. So as I said, what I'm noticing is that there's this real desire for a lot of women to be mums and to have a healthy, happy family, and they want it, and they truly want it deep in their soul, but they really their nervous system is going to take a while to get there and train them in their behavioral patterns, and then finding the right men that can also stay in their power in a modern world. Like, it's not like the old school world, but there's also old school traits that women really desire and men really desire in women, right? So there's kind of things that are programmed into our, I guess, deeper nervous system of what we're actually looking for in partners, and it's very, very kind of, it's all up in the air at the moment. It's all gone a bit nuts and bananas, and this is why you're seeing so many dysfunctional relationships. And first of all, the number one relationship is with yourself. So if you're not happy now, don't be looking for a partner, because it's not going to work out. So you got to learn to be happy single before you can be in a relationship. So I'm single right now, right? And I'm happy being single. If the right person comes along, perfect. If they don't, perfect. Right? I guess I'm openly seeking, but not desperately seeking. And see, what starts to happen is, after a certain time where people are single, they can get in this desperation where they just settle. And to me, that's the worst possible thing you can do, is settling. Especially if you're into growth and personal development. You actually want a partner to rise with you. And those vibrations will hopefully continue to rise together. But if you just settle, then generally you might bring yourself down. Now, saying that, there's a couple of key points that I wanted to talk about. One is boss babes, entrepreneurial women. Great, you're smashing it, you're crushing it, you're being really successful in life. But are you happy? Are you truly, deeply happy? If the answer is yes, awesome. If the answer is no, then there's something kind of drastic that needs to shift inside of you so that you can pivot. And you've done that in your business, and you've done that in your career, and you can do that. But you still haven't been able to get that partner to stay with you and be committed to you and go down that path with you. And I know a lot of you women want that. You want that co-creation. You want that man that's going to be by your side and ride this journey with you of life. And you've got big dreams and big aspirations. And there's a couple of different archetypes, right? So generally what has to happen, and this is where I guess the surrender, the challenge, the shift has to happen, is there's the boss babe and there's the mother archetypes, right? Can they coexist together? Possibly. But does there need to be a bit of a surrender into the motherhood and the preparation of the nervous system and the drop into the feminine energy, and understanding that you're probably not going to be able to work as hard as you used to because you got to look after a child and look after yourself and nurture yourself, and you're generally probably going to have to rely on somebody else to do certain things. And we live in a society where men and women, we live in an independent society. So we've moved from dependence, we've shifted out of dependence from our parents, and we've moved to an independent society. Saying that, we're actually going backwards a little bit, where people are dependent on the government. I need my money from the government, and I need this, and the government will protect me. So we've actually kind of, I guess what's happening is we're shifting back into dependence so that we can evolve through independence and interdependence, which is relying on others, our dream team, those strong core relationships. Remembering your core relationship first is with you. And when you've established that self-love and self-worth and just looking at yourself with awe and wonder and going, wow, you're such an incredible person, those type of relationships then become the standard. And so, as I said, I'd love to hear from some questions from women. Please put them in the comments, or comment where you're from, the people that are viewing live. But yeah, so we have, what happens is you get to a certain standard, right? So you've got this certain standard in your business, and you're boss babe, and you're crushing it, and you're doing all the things, but for some reason the standard in relationship doesn't seem to match that. And there's a deeper core wound that I can see playing out, and those deeper core wounds are generally because the work of being the boss babe, the successful person, actually comes from a deeper sense of needing external validation to prove your self-worth. So because you're constantly, once you hit a new rank in your business or a new goal, or you make a bigger income or bigger impact, you're getting rewarded, which is amazing and incredible because you deserve that. But the difference is that if there's that deep wounding of that needing external validation, what happens is that other areas of your life will not work because Toowoomba, but on the sunny coast regularly. Awesome. You got any questions, Melissa? So because that external validation is needed, you will get in the relationship, and although you're independent, you will actually latch on and become super dependent on that person. And it's like, as a Czech practitioner, there's it's actually a PPS success course, another course through the Czech Institute that I did. There's two types of relationships, really. There's the glue and there's the grease. So most people are in glue relationships where it's stuck and sticky and where you're attached and you kind of need them, and then there's grease where everything works really well and smooth and it's it's on fire. It's a really beautiful not synchronicity, a beautiful duo, and you see this in certain people's relationships, and it's quite rare. You'll see certain people like, wow, they will just work really well in everything that they do. It's like, even the way they converse, the way they do business, life, everything, it just works, it gels. And then you see other people where it's constant just nonsense and clashing and fighting, and then you can just see that they're just so independent, two independent people, but then they're also really dependent on each other, and they're attached, and they can't figure out because they've never shifted into that interdependence, because there's the core wound of actually not being good enough to have a dependent, someone that they can rely on. So because the core wound is they don't actually have someone that they believe that they can rely on, they attach to anyone that they potentially can rely on. But then what happens is that pushes that person away, and it actually brings that person down. So you see it constantly where two great people could come together and create absolute magic, but instead they just crash and burn. And that's because, as I said, that true belief, that deeper belief, is that they're not good enough. And so they create that they have to have that external validation. And I guess what happens with me when I generally work with women when they've reached the burnout point, right? So their health starting to fail. And so what happens with your health starts to fail, your business starts to fail, and everything that you've worked so hard for starts to crumble. And generally what happens is this starts to crumble because we're going against our soul's calling. And not everybody's designed to have children. But the people that I work with generally are the ones that either want to have children or they want to re-engage with their family, their existing family, and actually have their career business um, actually work for them rather than against them. Because what they're starting to realize is that they're actually just getting drained from their purpose, where their family and their loved ones and the people that make them feel good, which is actually a deeper part of their purpose, is falling away. Okay, I do have a question. Where do these conscious and masculine men hang out? Huh. Surfing. There's a lot of cool people out in the surf. They're around, right? And the thing is, it's not that they're not around. It's the fact of that deeper core wounding that I was talking about. So if that deeper core wounding is that you're not good enough for that conscious masculine man, you could walk straight past them, right? And not even vibrate with them, right? But generally they're doing their own thing. They're very kind of secure in who they are. They are doing what makes them their passions, their purpose. And so there's not a specific spot that they're in. Like, for example, like I'm interested in breeding Nigerian dwarf goats, right? That's something that I enjoy. So what do I do with that? Like I hang with my goats, I talk to other breeders, I go look at other goats, I read books on, on about raising goats, right? And that's like a very thin niche, right? So if I might meet somebody at a goat show or something to do around miniature goats, right? Because that's something that I'm interested in. But so it's what happens is, although our that I guess niche or that interest is very unique and a bit strange and a bit weird and a bit out there, I'm really solid in the fact that that's something that I enjoy, right? So I will be in places around that and I will be secure and like I'm not going to be in a nightclub. Although saying that, a group of friends, we went out for dinner and we went and had a drink class. Or I had 3 drinks, two and a half, two and a half. I had 2.5 drinks, which was fun because we went out for dinner but I stayed out till 11 o'clock. It was fucking wild. But yeah, we're going to be where we are. So that's a good example. Like last night, I was in that space, right? That's not the place that I would normally hang out, but I was with a good group of friends and we were chatting and it was a nice night. So we are everywhere because we will go where we feel is best for our soul. And last night I was hanging with my good friends and just having a laugh, right? Conversation and good conversation. And so there's not a specific spot. My advice for you, Melissa, would be do the things that fill you up. And so what I notice, and this is why I guess women pay me the big bucks to get their health back and get all the other things, their relationships and their confidence and like reshape their lifestyle. The reason women work with me is because they've lost part of who they are, right? So when you've lost part of who you are, you might be looking for the man, right? Where are they? Where are they? It's like, well, fucking find yourself first, right? Come back to you, and guess what? You will shine and you will radiate, and men will just be like, because we see, like, we can see the spark, and there's something about, like, for example, when I'm surfing, and there's some beautiful, gorgeous women in the surf, and it's like they're in their joy and they're in nature and they're part of nature, and there's something magical from a man's perspective of just like, holy shit, that's like God in motion right there. And so there's a deep attraction to someone that's in that space. And so I guess what I'm saying, and to put it into short, like sentence really, is that most women are too in their masculine, so men are not attracted to that. Great, you're successful at your business, awesome, that's amazing. Okay, and then me as someone who wants to have a family is looking, is she going to be a good mother? And it's like, well, fuck, she can't even handle her nervous system. She's burnt out as fuck. She looks stressed. She looks, yeah, she's great. She's making lots of money, but she's, Jesus, she's not in a good place, right? And what? How are we going to create a family together? Because then it adds another layer of stress. So that's what I'm looking at, right? And so, as I said, I'm not saying that all of you on here want children, but if you want a partner, we're not looking for someone to add more stress to our lives. I can tell you that straight away, especially when you're in your zone, right? Because men, we are very, we do need that space to come back to ourselves. So I don't want to hang out with someone that's more stressed than me. I want someone that's going to help me rise and has the space for me. And that's the other thing. A lot of women don't have space for men, so they want men. I want a partner. It's like, you ain't got space for that person in your life. You're too busy boss babing and meetings and schedules and all this type of stuff. There's no space for a man. There's no space for a child, right? So the universe, you can say that you want these things or you want, but the reality is there's a part of you that isn't actually allowing that space to let that in. And it's the busyness because the busyness is the doing, right? But the woman is supposed to be the vessel for receiving, right? So you need to receive the man, but you can't receive the man when you're doing. Busy, 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 busy. Because there's no pause, there's no space, there's no void for the man to enter. And so that's kind of what I see happening a lot. So hopefully that helps a few of you out to, I guess, a little bit of understanding. If anyone has any more questions, please comment. Hopefully that helped a little bit, Melissa. But yeah, there's no one spot that we are. We are where we are, and we will follow the direction that our soul calls us. So to me, sometimes it's surfing. Sometimes it's reading a book. Sometimes it's going out for a dinner and a few drinks with some friends. Sometimes it's hanging with the goats. But every time, it's a decision that's very solid in myself. And I guess, I don't want to be a wanker and say I'm a conscious masculine man. I'm actually, like, if you look at the way men are from a spiritual level, is people that are, and this is where there's a lot of confusion with masculine and femininity, is like men actually are feminine souls in a masculine physical body, and women are actually masculine souls in a feminine body. So that's why we need to master physicality, right? Because to get our true soul's expression, we actually have to anchor in the physical body. And this is why there's all this confusion right now as we're rising in, I guess, more connection with our higher self, our spiritual self. People are kind of confused who they are. It's like, well, if you actually just look after the physical vessel, all the confusion will disappear, right? Because you are a bit of both. You're not one, you're not the other. And so what we have now is we have major polarities kind of swinging in either direction, right? Which is awesome because it means that we're getting closer to actually, it's like the chaos comes before the peace. It's the same as birth, like the birth of a child. There's a lot of, I guess, shit happening, right? And then the child gets born. And so as we're going through the birth and recreation of who we are, we have to actually figure out who we are. So sometimes we go so polar opposite of actually who we are to discover ourselves again. And this is why, as I said, a lot of women come to me to work with me because they are so burnt out. They're burnt out. They've got all type of issues like endometriosis. They're putting on weight. Their hormones are fucked. Their sex life is fucked. They're constantly anxious. They're constantly depressed. They're just kind of, this is their day. They wake up depressed, anxious, depressed, anxious, depressed, anxious, stressed, and that's it, right? And that's how they live. and I'm not saying that people are at that extreme, but there's a lot of people that are noticing, a lot of women that are noticing that it might have used to be like this, and they'd have their coffee and they get that little bit of energy boost. But now those things that they used to do don't work as well. So they have this constant just crash, burn, crash, burn, crash, burn. And that's their life. And so it gets to a point where you can't do that anymore and you choose not to. And that's the first choice. So if you want to step back into your femininity, if you want to find the right partner, if you want to find, like, where are these conscious men at? Is the conscious men will find you when you're in the right space. Because we live in a very dull, fucking boring world, and most people are basic. Like, I don't want to say there's a lot of basic bitches out there, but there's a lot of basic bitches out there. So what happens is, because they're so basic, when there's someone that's not basic, it's really like you stand out. It's like, there's like shit everywhere, and then there's a couple of flowers. Like, the flowers like stand out amongst the shit. And this is for men and women, I guess. But yeah, it's just really coming back. Look at that. I guess the advice I could give you is look at that deep core wounding. If you are the successful career woman, the successful boss babe, that person that's had a lot of success in their life but has never been able to anchor in that relationship, look at where that deep core wound is of external validation, which is the real masculine, like doing, and go back into figuring out how to love yourself again on a deep level, just by being. Like, just by doing nothing. It's like someone will see you and just go, wow. And it's your essence. And the way you can make this grow, you can make this glow more, is by truly doing the things you love. And sometimes that's doing nothing. But it's generally not putting too much pressure on your nervous system. That's the key. And sometimes pressure on your nervous system is great, but not to the extent of what we're doing all the time. And that's the kind of constant theme that I see. And that's why so many women are really struggling right now with their health. And it's not going to get better, because as we go through this evolutionary process, women who are being like men are going to have nervous breakdowns, mental breakdowns. Right? Men who are being like women are going to have nervous breakdowns, mental breakdowns, because we're not being true to ourselves. So we'll go across this journey to kind of figure out this polar opposite, to figure out who we are, and then eventually, as what we'll do is the higher self, or the masculine, the feminine energy of the higher self, will come into the physical, strong man's body. And so we as men need to have that physical, strong, masculine body to anchor in that feminine energy. And women, you need to have that healthy, beautiful, flowing, feminine, physical body to anchor in the masculine energy of who you are. So that's why there's so much confusion and so much, because you've got the women who are in masculine energy because their soul is masculine, and then their body's masculine, right? So that's just repelling men. And then women we want more emotional men. We want them to be more like emotionally stable and conscious and great. But then what's happening is men are having feminine souls and feminine bodies, and becoming like beta males, right? And doing everything spiritual and talking softly and and doing all the things to be conscious, but they're not physically grounded in their body. So that's why, like, you got the overly feminine male and the overly masculine female, and they're just repelling each other. And to bring them into union, it's literally individual journey to own their physical body. And too many people are trying to escape the physical body because they actually have to face who they truly are. and it's daunting and it's scary, and they've got to work through all the conditional programmings, release all the tension in the nervous system, and it takes time. So that's why I work with people over 12 months, because it actually takes time. I can tell you all this right now, but most of you will go away and make zero changes. And then in 12 months, I could do the same video and you'll still be in exactly the same place. That's just the reality of it. Information is not, it's not the answer anymore, because we have all the information. We have an overload of information. It's the anchoring in of the information so it becomes embodied. And I'm still in my process of that. You're still in your process of that, and that's a process, right? But the more we are actually embodied in it, the quicker things start to manifest in the physical world. So I can guarantee you, if all you women out there that want a man, if you surrender and soften more and create space and allowance and void. So void is not, oh, I'm not working today, I'm just on my phone. Like, quick, there's a brief second of pause in my life, get on my phone, right? So we don't have any space anymore. And so because there's no space, there's literally no space for men to penetrate to get in there. So it's just like a battle of like, even if there was like my dream woman or the right person, they're probably too busy most of the time until they soften, until they surrender, until they allow, until they create that void. And that's what's sexy as fuck for a man. You know? What's not sexy is like, yeah, great. As I said, like I admire women that are really successful in their careers and going out and changing the world, and I find that fascinating and beautiful. But I also find it fascinating and beautiful with a softness, and that's what men are wanting in women. We're wanting the feminine touch, the feminine energy, the allowance, the laughter. Like the laughter is so important. Like if you're not laughing at yourself every day, potentially too masculine, because life's supposed to be joyous and we're supposed to be having a good time. And so for us men, a lot of us are looking for the smile, like the real smile, not the fake Instagram smile, the actual true depth of a smile. And you can actually see through past the teeth. You can actually see, because it's the whole facial structure. Like a true smile looks different to a fake smile, and you can actually feel it. And men, we're actually a lot more sensitive than you women realize, because we do have that feminine soul, right? So we can see through the BS pretty quickly. And unfortunately, we've got a society where everybody's being each other, and so it's just the normal to bullshit. And so that's not working anymore, and it's breaking down really, really, really quickly. But then there's that void, that space that I'm talking about, where people actually don't know, holy shit, like, I've never been in this void for a long time. Maybe sometimes even the last time was when they were in the womb. Because as I said, our society is very masculinized, so women don't get the space to create the void. So before I go, is there any other questions that people have or comments that women have about men, want to know about men, us unique, crazy characters? And I'm a big... the reason I guess do what I do is because I think the family unit's really important, right? And I can see it being destroyed in front of my eyes. And I'm someone who grew up with a single mum, like in a single parent family. I can see how challenging that is for the child, for me, but also for my mum, who had to be my mum and my dad. So I never got to fully be in her feminine. And, we have a great relationship and we openly talk about everything. But, there is a bit of a sadness that we didn't actually get to experience that. We're a very strong unit, me and my mum, but there's also that part of us that didn't get to fully, like I didn't get to experience having a dad. and I didn't get to experience having a mum because my mum was both, right? And so what I'm wanting to see is if women are wanting to go into having children, having a family, they don't just treat it like a business, right? Where it's like, go, 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 go. They treat it as the most sacred, maybe they should treat it like a business, the most sacred business of, yeah, ever. And I think that's exciting because I do see a lot of these women that are driven and motivated and intelligent and strong and all these incredible words and like definitions of who they are now realizing that the number one thing that they actually want to challenge themselves with is childbirth, is having a family, is keeping the family healthy. And a lot of women are going into I have a question, into realizing that's a deeper part of their purpose. I feel like many women are becoming more masculine in their energy because we haven't been able to rely on men. Okay, that's a story. All right, that's a story. So let's just nip that in the bud straight away. There is a story that you can't rely on men. All right, and it's been strong for a long time. I find it hard to get back into my feminine energy sometimes when I'm the one running the household and taking care of everyone. Exactly, you choose that. Okay, so this is the hard part. Like as a man, I'm not going to cop that, that story because it's nonsense, right? And a strong man will not play into that story. Okay, men aren't bad, men aren't wrong, men aren't unreliable. We're actually really reliable when communication is clear and when we're the right partner, right? So, for example, and this is not having a go at you, Victoria, but how can a man be reliable when there's two men in the house? Like if you're in that masculine energy of I need to be the one leading, I need to be the one that everyone relies on, I can't trust you. There's two men competing, and it's called it's the clashing kings, right? So eventually one has to buckle. And unfortunately in our society, a lot of men just kind of surrender and go, it's not even fucking worth it. It's too hard. She's never going to soften. She's never going to trust me. She's never going to let me lead. So how do you get out of the energy? Yeah, you've got to do the work. And it's a process. This is what I work with people for 12 months in my program, right? Number one, get your health back. When you got your health back, like your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health, you can make better decisions. You can take more, you can adapt more, you can surrender. Like if you got to think that the reason most people fail in their health journey and their life journey is because they don't focus on their health as the number one, right? When your health is solid, if you are trying to break a sabotage pattern, so that health dude, we've got the 5 pillars, right? So we've got number 1, health, then we've got 2, confidence, then we've got 3, relationships, 4, lifestyle, so that's career, etc., where you live, all that type of stuff, and then sabotage patterns. So sabotage patterns run all the way through those 4, right? So, but if you've got strong health, when the sabotage patterns come up, for say your confidence, you've got the health to kind of face that and look at that and be aware of that and not let it affect you because your health is strong. So you have more resilience, which because you have more resilience, it's not like a resilience of armoring up. It's a resilience of allowing change because you have the energy, because change takes energy, right? So if you're depleted with your health, the sabotage pattern pops up and it's easier to actually go down that route because the way like our nervous system works is it will go down the path of least resistance. So this is why when if I'm training people with weights or training people in coaching, I'm literally creating new neural pathways for them to go through. And if those neural pathways are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, it takes time to create that new neural pathway, but it also takes energy. And so the number one thing to do is get your health back And so if you're lost in that, then find somebody that can help you, like whether that's me or somebody else, I don't care, but focus on it. And so the other thing is as well is being really, really clear on your dream. Because if your dream is strong, what we as Czech practitioners call your one love, if your one love is strong, stronger than your story, then you can achieve anything, right? And you'll be committed and you'll be disciplined to do anything. When your story is stronger than your one love, then it doesn't matter. I can tell you anything and you'll never change. So what I work on with people is over 12 months is I get their one love clear, then we work on their health, and then we work through all those other platforms, all those other pillars to get them to their dream. And it's like I'm just holding you accountable to your dream, but your dream is strong enough for when these sabotage patterns like raise their head that you're like, my dream's stronger than this, squash. But yeah, the reason that it's challenging is because the neural pathways need to be redone, and you create new ones and forks from the old ones. And it just, as I said, it takes energy. So hopefully that helps. So focusing on really on your health, and also commitment, like a commitment of 12 months. So like I know exactly what I want. So I've got my dream, and it's like, I want to be a dad. I want to be in a relationship. That's my dream, right? So because that's my dream, there's certain things that I do in my day-to-day that are focused purely on that. So one of the reasons I started surfing again, I wanted to be healthy, I wanted to be strong, I wanted to be in my joy, right? Because when I'm in my joy, like I'm a manifester, like I just manifest shit. When I'm not in my joy and I feel like I'm on the computer too much or I'm working too hard, I just don't attract. I just actually repel because I'm not in my natural state, right? So it's coming back to you and finding you and committing to you for 12 months. So what's your dream? Commit to that dream and be disciplined and do the process to create that dream in the physical, not pie in the sky dream. Oh, I want this, great. Physical in the earth plane. Because we came for the human experience to experience the human experience. Like all of it. The good, the bad, the ugly, the messy, it's all here for us to enjoy and own. And a lot of people are trying to bypass that and just staying in story. It's like the Truman Show. If you look at most humans, they're just in Truman Show. Same, or Groundhog Day. Same thing every single day forever. But what's happening now, because the evolution of humanity is happening, is the fabric of our society is breaking down, everything that's not working. And in that is the fabric of us as individuals, everything's breaking down that's not working. So our health is breaking down, our business, our relationship, everything that's not serving us is breaking down so that we're stripped back to the core and then we build from a pure place. Which is scary as fuck, right? Because you're like, holy shit, the world's going to see me at my core essence. This is why so many people hold on to weight, because they're afraid of the universe seeing the world, other people seeing them. So they create a physical barrier around themselves to protect themselves, because that's what the neural pathway, that ego story has told them, that the world's not safe. The world's safe as fuck. Is it going crazy? Yes. Will we make it through? I don't know. But on a deeper level, it's safe as fuck. But most people are not at that deeper level, right? And that's okay, because they will be forced to, or they will leave the earthly plane. And that's okay as well, because some souls choose to leave earlier, some souls choose to stay for the grand show. And I generally work with the ones that the souls choose to stay. So they're going to commit to doing the work and commit their hard-earned money, their hard-earned money, their hard-earned time, put their soul and put their heart on the line to believe in themselves and to invest in themselves. Anyways, hopefully that answered your question, Victoria. I don't think there's any other questions. If anyone else has one, quickly put it down and I'll do my best to answer it. But you can follow me on That Health Dude on all the platforms, TikTok, Instagram, or TikTok while it's still allowed in the Western world. Instagram, YouTube's it's going to start putting more stuff on Facey, and Twitter. And so the ways I work with people is I have the oils. So the oils, like a starter kit of oils is like the basics. If you don't have a starter kit of oils, then I'm probably not even going to work with you, because we've got to get that nervous system unfried, and we've got to get you to have some basic foundations of emotional, mental, and physical, physical, spiritual health. And that's like the basics, the bare basics. And then I work with people in a 12-month program where I work with people in a group setting. And then there's some, like I generally work with a few people one-on-one, but I don't take on many because it's a higher price point, and it's a lot more effort for me. I actually prefer group work unless they're like, generally some type of executive that really needs that extra push. So hopefully that helped a few of you. Yeah, good. And using them every day and having that consistency and having that routine and using it as that self-care, self-love practice where it's space. You're creating space. You're creating space for your nervous system to relax a little bit. You're creating space for your mind to create space between thoughts. And every time you allow that space, as women, you become more feminine, right? Because you're allowing more in. And then eventually, the gap might start like this, but eventually it opens up. And then potentially a whole human male can fit into your space and be allowed into the space and feel welcomed into the space. That's a big thing, feeling welcome. A lot of us men, we can she'd be great, but there's no fucking way I can get into her space because she's not even wanting. She says she wants something, but she doesn't. Not at the, how I was talking about self-love, not at the standard that people truly desire. So a lot of women will say, I want a conscious masculine man. But then with the conscious masculine man, there's all the issues of a conscious masculine man. We're a little bit stupid sometimes. We're a little bit annoying sometimes. We won't play into the stories or take your shit sometimes. We're not always going to be emotionally available to take on things when you need our support, because we have our own process. So there's all these I guess nuances of us men. We come with our own problems. Which we're working on ourselves, but we also want a partner that can support us sometimes and be there for us sometimes and help us in our weaknesses, so that we can be better people, we can lead better, we can be more grounded and strong and all that type of stuff. So anyways, good times. Love you all. Peace out. Look after yourself. If you've got any questions, just reach out to me. And yeah, make sure I'll put my group in below as well, because I'll be sharing more stuff in my group as well. Peace.